Good, happy Wednesday morning, June 10th, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Wednesday morning edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Wednesday morning, so let's begin. First up, COVID-19 in New Hampshire, what you need to know information. Let's take a look at that right now. And here's a look at that information for all of you right now. There are 5,132 number of people in New Hampshire have tested positive for COVID-19. 2,026,493 number of people in the United States who have tested positive. 294 deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 496 the number of people who have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire. And 113,055 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. And here's a look at this map of New Hampshire where current cases of COVID-19 are. Manchester, 346. And here's a look at this map of New Hampshire where 12 cases of COVID-19 are. Manchester, 1332. And now let's take a look at these three charts here. Let's start with the first chart here. New cases each day in New Hampshire in the purple. Daily new positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, new hospitalizations. And in the red, deaths. And now let's take a look at this chart here. Current cases in the purple. Total current COVID-19 cases. And in the orange, current hospitalizations. Let's take a look at this chart here. Total cases in the purple, total positive COVID-19 cases, in the orange, total hospitalizations, in the red, deaths, and in the blue, recovered. And now let's take a look at this chart here. Age group of cases, female and male of cases, and risk information. Let's take a look at this chart here. Infections, hospitalizations, and deaths. And let's take a look at this chart here. Deaths, percent of New Hampshire population, race/ethnicity of cases, and hospitalizations. And again, your common symptoms: fever, lack of smell, cough, chills, and difficult breathing. How it spreads, and prevention tips. And be sure to stay with the Riley King Network on the latest of your COVID-19 information. 8 COVID-19 deaths, 6 at long-term care facilities announced. 2 to 3% of tests continue to come back positive, health officials say. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
It's still a global pandemic, but here in New Hampshire, public health officials say they're noting some undeniable trends in the data that bode well for the short term. The state epidemiologist says the number of new hospitalizations for COVID-19 continues to decline. And he also says there's a slow downward trajectory in the number of people testing positive for the virus out of the total number of tests.
So over the last several days to week, we are currently at about 2 to 3% of tests for COVID-19 that have been positive. This is all it shows ongoing, we believe, decrease in community transmission.
Dr. Benjamin Chan also says contact tracing has uncovered no increased transmission of COVID-19 due to reopening of certain economic sectors in early May.
We have not yet seen an increase in the numbers that we're tracking.
Governor Chris Sununu says this is good news for now, but he's still wary about the eventual reopening of schools and the possibility of a resurgence of COVID-19 in the fall.
And I've always said there's a second surge coming. I hope I'm dead wrong, I really do. But we are planning for a significant second surge, whether it's in it could be August, but I'm thinking in the September, October range. We all have to be prepared for that potentially.
One thing Dr. Chan says will really help out his people at public health: pick up the phone if the contact tracing team from the state calls you.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Health officials try to balance physical, emotional health of long-term care residents. State reviews ways to allow residents to have visitors. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Tyler Dumont.
Some work can't stop because our communities need you, which is why we're working to keep you working, to help you keep homes and properties maintained.
The long wait to visit with family members at New Hampshire's nursing homes and assisted living facilities may soon be over.
We want them to engage with their families, their grandchildren, their children.
The DHHS commissioner says a group including long-term care reps are working on a plan to allow resident visits outside and by appointment only. Family visits, along with group activities, have all been on hold for months due to COVID-19, and with good reason. Over 80% of COVID-related deaths in the state so far have been long-term care residents, many attributed to facility outbreaks.
Obviously, any facility that is active in an outbreak would not be having visitation.
Despite any potential risks, the commissioner says it is important visits resume in some fashion after months of being limited to phone calls and video chat sessions.
There's got to be a priority on the physical illness and the physical health of our seniors, but very, very close behind that is the psychosocial well-being of our seniors.
Massachusetts started allowing nursing home visits last week. Family members must be screened before outdoor appointment-only visits. Everyone must also wear masks while staying 6 feet apart at all times. It's unclear how similar the Granite State's measures will be.
So we will be really drilling down and developing that guidance later this week and early next week.
And still no word on when group activities, things like dinners and bingo and pet therapy, may be able to resume. But based on what we heard from public health officials today, we could still be a long ways away. Reporting live in Concord, Tyler Dumont, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Dow features little change as investors await Fed's forecast on the economy. U.S. stock features were nearly flat in early trading Wednesday as investors awaited clarity on the state of the economic and further settlement from the Federal Reserve's policy meeting. Nationwide push to remove Confederate symbols. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
World and here in the U.S., protesters are demanding symbols of racism be torn down. We saw that image in the U.K., a statue thrown into the harbor. And tonight in the U.S., what's just been announced in Jacksonville, Florida, and what the U.S. military is now considering. Here's ABC's Maggie Rulich.
Tonight, symbols of racism being torn down around the world. Demonstrators in Bristol, England, toppling this statue of a 17th century slave trader, then dumping him in the harbor. Pressure from protesters is creating action in America as well. In Jacksonville, Florida, a statue of a Confederate soldier standing on this pedestal since the 19th century, carted off by the city overnight.
This is a symbol of white supremacy and hate that was put up in the Jim Crow days, and black people know that.
Just moments ago, the city's mayor ordering all Confederate statues removed. Tonight, the U.S. Navy moving to ban all Confederate flags from public spaces. But some argue these monuments are a part of history. In Virginia, there's a stalemate over this monument to Robert E. Lee. The governor wants it gone, but a judge issuing an injunction against its removal. Protesters here in the UK marked this statue of Winston Churchill with graffiti, calling him a racist. And now organizers are out with a list of about 60 statues around the country that they're demanding be removed. David?
Maggie Rulli tonight. Maggie, thanks.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for watching this morning edition. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.